Welcome. It's January 25th, 2022. My name is Joe Weston, and we're here for our online global practice for reviving the global heart. And as I say every time, it's just such a joy to gather with people from around the world. Today, we're represented by people from various parts of North America and Europe, and perhaps other parts of the world, people who come on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, and some who come and drop in and provide their sense of love and heart into this global heart we're weaving together. And as I say, what we're here to do is that every Tuesday we gather and we are weaving a golden thread of lasting peace around the planet. And that we're using this medium called the World Wide Web, which is something that that came into manifestation from our human consciousness to help us understand actually what has always been true, that we are so interconnected and we are so interdependent with one another, and that the idea that we are separate is simply a mental construct that we have either been taught to believe or we hold on to. And that the more we can, and that I always say in this work of respectful confrontation, fierce civility, and reviving the global heart, that it's our work to cultivate resilience and fierce compassion. And part of that process is having the courage to go within with what I call courageous self-reflection, and with compassion and fierceness to see the aspects of ourselves that are still believing this idea that we're separate. And as we heal that within ourselves, we just can see what manifests around us, that we let go of labels and biases, and that when we drop out of our heads and into our hearts, we really understand that's where we understand that, where we have always understood that, and that's never gone away. So this process of coming into our hearts, we do this as a community, and we support one another, and then we hold space for one another, and we inspire one another, and we challenge one another in the most loving way, as we are all on our own path of walking through the world, holding this vision of lasting peace for this planet. And it's exciting to see a number of faces I haven't seen for a while. There's some celebrities here, I would say. I won't name you who you are, but let's just say there are, at least in my world, celebrities. But the real celebrity and the real honor I have is introduce our guest, Heart Phoenix, who I had the pleasure of meeting through Dot Maver and her community, and who I find is just a beacon of light and an inspiration on this planet in a way that she simply shines. She doesn't have to go and make sure people see her light. She doesn't have to do anything really. She just is radiating who she is. And I can see and feel how that's having a tremendous ripple effect around the planet. And it's an honor to have you here to share your ideas. First, I'd like to say Heart's work, service, and activism have spanned 5 decades. She's an educator, advocate, and activist and champion of the environment, animal rights, social justice, peace building, racial justice, and gender equality throughout the United States and abroad. She is the co-founder and president of the board of the River Phoenix Center for Peacebuilding, and which does a lot of work around the world to teach and embed best and next practices in the field of restorative conflict resolution with a variety of programs. And her passion and commitment to nonviolence has been the center of her life, as evidenced by her celebration of over 40 years of vegan living. So I thought it would be nice to share all of that. And now I'd like to hand it over to Heart. Heart, thank you so much for being here and making this time. And the question is, what do you want to tell us? And what do you want to share from your heart? And what does reviving the global heart mean to you?
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for showing up and being here. I bet you didn't have as much trepidation about it as I do. This is not, I'm not someone who's out there speaking all the time. I don't think I am. I talk a lot. I talk too much. Ask my family. But in general, this isn't something that I ordinarily do, but I'm so taken by Joe and the work that he's doing, which is so important always, but particularly in these moments when we are at such diverse ways as humans are looking at each other in such crazy, crazy ways. So I'm really grateful that Dot introduced me to you, Joe, and that I was on one of your calls. And now I'm meeting some of the community, and you're all really beautiful. And my heart is beating, and I have semi tears in my eyes. It's just kind of starting to come up. But the first thing I want to say is that I feel really humbled and kind of like, yeah, that I chose the name Heart, some 30 years ago. And how that happened was I was in Australia, and I was there educating people on the rainforest. I didn't even know what it was at the time. I was just invited to come by a friend who was an activist for the rainforest. And in those days, most of us didn't really know what was happening in the rainforest all over the world, and the indigenous people and the wildlife and the plants that were being destroyed for just money, and for growing cattle, and for just all different kinds of things that were really, it was really a crying shame. And so when I was there, one of the first workshops I was invited to do with this group that invited me there was called Council of All Beings. It was created by Joanna Macy and John Seed, who then became very good friends. And I saw all of the activists, and they were so angry at this training. I mean, they were just so angry for what people were doing to the earth and how could we do it. And it was just, there was so much. And I realized that earth and heart had the same letters. And nobody knew me there. I didn't know anybody. And so when I introduced myself in the circle, I said that my name was Heart. And I was like, oh my God, it wasn't that big of a stretch for me when you think that my children are River, Rain, Summer, Liberty, and Joaquin. It's like I name my children names like that, but I never called myself that because I was Arlen. And so that was a start, a really big leap to be able to say, we're never going to get anywhere until we do it with love, until we really start to understand one another. So we can be angry, we can be out in the streets, and we can be demonizing, and we can be righteous about that. Yes, there are some horrendous things going on that our fellow humans are doing, and that we have done, right? And in our lives. But if we can't have a conversation, if we can't have some empathy and understanding that therefore, by the grace of God, go I, if we don't realize that I would imagine many people here on this call have made significant changes in our beliefs through the years as we've grown in exploration of who we are on the inside, and how we are, without a shadow of a doubt, interconnected to the great magic and miracle of the world, of this earth, of this universe. And I don't believe any of us understands how it all happened. We can listen to scientists, we can listen to spiritual teachers, we can listen to anybody that has a voice, and everybody's got a different way of looking at it. But ultimately, we know that every breath we take is interconnected to the plants, the trees, and each other, and there's nothing new under the sun. It's recycled constantly. And how do we get that point across? How do we become that loving nature? That loving nature that receives and then reflects back to someone who's angry and upset. How do we reflect back the joy and the peace and the understanding that we are one another, and that if we are, we do everything that we can in our power to not convert them, to not give them a list of things that they have to do in order to be as good as we or I. It's not about that. It's just really understanding ultimately what's in the way of people really claiming. Because when we say we're interconnected, I always think, when I look at the giant oak trees here in Florida, that I am as powerful as that tree. that I am as powerful as the sunshine, that I have all that within me. It's a different kind of power, but knowing that there is really nothing that can diminish who we are if we just uncover, discover, and recover from the it's not just the educational system, it's the enculturation as we as humans have taken on through this, what we would have hoped would have been an evolution of our genius and our miraculous nature, but rather seems to have been able to split like the atoms or something, and just all of a sudden we're all over the place thinking all different things, and none of us, or I'm sorry, not none of us, but so many of us, and myself included, are still struggling and climbing up out of this this polarization, this lack of and depth of love and understanding and care.
Heart, that's so beautiful that what you're saying, there's so many different points in there. I love the word enculture, the using the word enculturation, that it just is, it's we have, and because what that does is it just acknowledges it's not good or bad, there's no perpetrators or victims on that level, it's just things that we learn. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, if you can, for some of us, the example I sometimes use is, Santa Claus. I don't want to spoil it for some of you, but Santa Claus doesn't exist. But there, for some of us, our story is that maybe he or they did exist at some point, and then we go through this process of being confronted with a story that we thought was true, and then we have to go through this whole process of letting it go, mourning it, and then stepping into a new way of seeing. Sometimes I think it could be just that easy for a lot of the issues that we're holding on to around race, around our history, around all of these issues. I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, I love that. I think that we're, I always say, and I have the blessing of having my 5 children, and my grandchildren. So we're 3 generations of people that, because myself and their father made decisions that were entirely radical at the time, entirely radical. We didn't send our children to school. We didn't eat animals. We didn't use, a great variety of resources that the rest of the world did in the late 60s, early 70s, and kept that going through all these years, which I have begun to see how extraordinary it is as I meet people along the way. And just like how do we rewrite the story, is what you're basically saying. How do we create a new system? I mean, that's what I'm working on. I'm working on simultaneously, watching what's happening in the world is so debilitating, and I can get so caught up in it that I just say, I just want, where am I moving to? What country am I going to? What? And then realizing wherever we are, we're human beings, and we're all struggling, with the same things, even under, whether it's a communist situation or democracy or a pseudo, any of that kind of stuff. So I do think that the answer is doing exactly, revealing who Santa Claus is or isn't in reality, and all of the ways that we have believed what we know in our hearts is not true. That we know in our hearts that, I am a feeling sentient being, and I am just one of billions, and including the animals and the fish in the sea and the rest of the breathing entities, including the plants and all that. We all deserve our place here on the earth. And you go all the way up to now, thank goodness, the rising up of finally the intelligence and the responsibility that white people in this world have taken the power for so long. and finally being approached with it. And it's a scary thing, but it's happening, and it's a wonderful thing. And we are stepping out, and we are creating new systems, and that's where I want to put my energy and I'm not going to heal and change that. I think that simultaneously we may be here right now, and the power is here, and I think that we're rising up, and this is not going to rise up much further. This is definitely going, and we're going to maybe reach here, and that's going to be pretty great. And then this is just going to, the higher we get, the more light we have, the more power we will be able to claim in order to create the peace and safety and health and well-being of not only ourselves, the human species, but the planet herself and the universe, our place in the universe.
Art, that is so beautiful. Thank you. And we definitely want to bring that into our practice in our community. That idea, that's what we hold. We see ourselves as midwives for a system that's dying away, and midwives for a system that's being birthed.
Love it.
And you know, and I'll quote a hero of mine and a mentor, Dot Maver, who happens to be here, is that, which I'm actually going to be quoting in my new book. We're not seeing a systems breakdown, we're seeing a systems breakthrough. Have I said that correctly, Dot?
Yeah.
Great. And I'm just wondering, I mean, I want to get to our practice, but I would just thought, you know, another thing you said that I really appreciate with this, that what if our job is simply to just reflect the best of ourselves, which, you know, in a sense, I know this from my Buddhist practice, the Dalai Lama has said that my only intention is to just be a reflection of your enlightenment. And when I can get to that state, then that's my only attainment. And I wonder if you have thoughts on that idea of simply being an open-hearted sense of reflection to others. And do you have an example of, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, of where that's happened around the world or with some of your communities?
You know, we work with incarcerated people. We work at the River Phoenix Center for Peacebuilding. We work with all kinds of people. It's not, I was a terrified young person. I'm from the Bronx, New York, by the way. And it was a scary place to grow up. We were pretty poor, our family. And so I had a lot of fear and a lot of judgment. And I was told who to be afraid of and who not to be afraid of. And, you know, I've grown a lot since then. And I have seen, and I know from my own behavior, that when I can see the depth of Jesus in that prototype. I wouldn't call Jesus a prototype. What would you say that is called? Anyway, this is where I need Dot. What's the word? But anyway, when I can see the spirit and the soul of another person,
yeah,
that's when I can reflect that unconditional love and goodwill. And I can't always do that. I don't think any of us, I don't know, maybe you all do. I can't wait to meet you again. But, you know, that is the goal. I can't see any other way to soften. How do we soften what has been so bruised and traumatized and living with so much pain? How do we soften those relationships? And I think, again, it's penetrating that love and acceptance and understanding, which can do wonders.
Beautiful. Thank you. So yeah, so I always say, I have to say, I'm a Queens boy, so we got a couple of New Yorkers here. So that's another residence, the New York thing.
Yeah.
We should talk our childhood sometime. That could be interesting.
Yes.
And Joshua, I know, is a Bronx boy, so from the Bronx. Well, so thank you so much for this. And what I'd like to do now is lead us in our practice and integrate some of your wisdom. And it's so in alignment with what we're doing here. The essence of this practice is that we, on a regular basis, we're cultivating deeper levels of resilience and fierce compassion, so that we can take our practices off of the cushion and in the safety of our meditation space, and still have the resilience and the capacity to move through the world. And when we're with those who don't necessarily have these practices or don't hold these views, and you talk about this idea and how do we still stay in our own frequency and our own sense of integrity and our highest values as a way of inspiring others to do the same, hopefully. And it's and as many people would say, what you said, Hart, it doesn't have to be everyone, just has to be enough of us. And it's a way to think about it. It doesn't have to be everyone, just needs to be enough of us. Now, there are people who have statistical ideas of what enough is, but let's just say, let's just, maybe enough isn't, just the idea of enough is enough for now. All right, so if you may, would like to lead you in this practice, which is, I'll coach you through this. There's no right way to do this or wrong way to do this. It's about finding your way. First, it starts with what we call power sit, sitting in a way where your spine is straight without being erect to allow the most flow. Again, the definition of resilience that we use here is a combination of presence, awareness, balance, and flow. And when we're moving in all aspects of that, then we are in alignment with ourselves, our surroundings, and others, and able to engage with any challenges we're presented with finesse and grace and skill, courage. So finding a way to sit where we can allow the most flow to go through our bodies, with your spine straight, elongating from the back of your neck, so you're tucking your chin in a little bit. Shoulders are relaxed, the jaw's relaxed, your belly's relaxed. Bringing your awareness to your center in your lower belly, approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel and 1/3 of the way into the body. So bringing your attention now to a spot. If you want to place your fingers, your index finger on your navel, where your pinky resides, that's about the 3 widths below your navel. From there, bring your attention inside of your body about 1/3 of the way. And see if you can place your full attention on that spot, your core, your center. Or I would say your center of gravity, impulse, gut wisdom, personal power, and awareness. From this place of awareness, become aware of those points that are connecting with what you're sitting on or the ground. And from those points, feeling that sensation of gravity pressing you down towards the earth. Allowing that sensation of that pressing down to feel the stability under you. Communicating that level of stability now to your nervous system, giving it the message, you are held, and allow yourself to be held. Imagining that what you're sitting on represents the earth itself. Mother Earth never discriminates. She holds each one of us equally. And in asking, inviting Mother Earth to come up, rise up to hold you. You are held. With this awareness of being held by Mother Earth, from your center, become aware of your physical body. No need to do anything, simply notice as we come into the present, learn to listen to the wisdom of the body and the heart. What wisdom are you being told through the body at this moment? Learn its language, its vocabulary. From your center, become aware of your emotional body. What's unfolding in this moment? From your center, become aware of your mental body, your thoughts. Simply notice the quality of the thoughts. And remaining in contact with your core is the foundation of this practice. Now bring awareness to the middle of your chest or your heart, where your heart power resides. Personal power in your core, heart power in your heart, compassion, wisdom, courage, connection. From your center and from your heart, become aware of that part of you that has connection with something larger than yourself. And from that part of you, observing and becoming aware in this moment what your connection is with something larger than yourself. What we're doing is we're creating a vertical line being supported by Mother Earth below, and now opening to that which is larger than ourselves. Could be your highest values, humanity, something spiritual, the matrix. All resonating in your core and your heart as you now extend your awareness of yourself out to your personal boundaries in all directions. Behind you, above you, around you, filling that space between you and your personal boundaries as your own personal space. Endowing it with the qualities, as Hart said, of you have a right to this space. And it is safe. And with this awareness of self from your center and from your heart, take a full deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And let's expand our awareness of ourselves in this present moment. So from your center and from your heart, become aware of your surroundings. Keeping your eyes closed, simply notice or become aware of, connect with your surroundings in all directions, placing yourself in a context. And with awareness of yourself and your surroundings, take a full breath in. Building on your awareness of this present moment from your center and from your heart, become aware of those in this meditation circle, in this group. Various practitioners from various parts of North America, Europe, other parts of the world. And from your center and from your heart, with honor and respect, connecting with those in this meditation group. Noticing the impact of that. What kind of influence are you having on those in this group simply with your presence and your awareness? And how are you being influenced? Remembering our interconnectedness, our shared vision and hope, a reflection for one another. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. And with this awareness of self, surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. So holding on to this sense of self, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, we now expand our sense of fierce compassion and resilience. And from your center and from your heart, become aware of all human beings. First, beginning with those human beings you would label loved ones. And in this moment, who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? What groups of people that you would label as loved ones? And noticing this, as Hart mentioned, this idea of we can be in our, like the trees and like the sun, we can be in our power that doesn't have to diminish. As you engage with loved ones, does that increase your sense of power or diminish? And what can you do to connect with your heart and your core if you feel that diminishing, to reestablish and ignite your own heart? Simply be a reflection for those you would call loved ones. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings you would label stranger. Who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? Does that diminish your sense of your own personal power or ignite it and activate it? And imagine with the billions of strangers that there are, that you can stand in your power as a reflection for them. And from your center and from your heart, become aware of those human beings you would label adversary. Who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? Groups of people. How does that influence your sense of power? Does it diminish it? Does it increase it? And trusting your practice and resilience and fierce compassion to stand face to face with them and reflecting back your heart and your highest and best self. noticing how that impacts those adversaries, noticing how it impacts those strangers, noticing how it impacts those loved ones. Now imagine we're all connected from our hearts, all human beings, and just imagine the idea that perhaps the gift that human beings have with the prefrontal cortex and our capacity to build structures. What if our role on this planet was simply to be stewards for all other creatures and the planet itself? The bees have their functions. Various creatures have their own specific functions for this planet. What if ours as human beings was simply to be stewards, not sovereigns, not conquerors, stewards for all beings and the planet itself. And then just feel each human being that you're engaging with have that aha moment in their hearts. And with that sense of aha and rejoicing, allowing all human beings to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to those in this meditation circle, sharing what's been resonating in your heart with those in this meditation circle. Bringing those in this meditation circle into your heart as you bring your awareness back to your surroundings, and filling your surroundings with this experience of interconnectedness from the heart. Allowing your surroundings to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself. And feel the benefits or the efforts of this practice. And that sense of you get to determine how much of your power is either diminished or increased with all the various practices we've added here. A steward on this planet. And noticing the energy of the benefits of what you've just generated with this practice, allow that to flow into every cell of your body, awakening every cell of your body, energizing, nurturing, flowing into your organs, nurturing your organs with life force energy. Allowing this energy to flow into your core and your lower belly like it's a battery, filling up your battery to make sure every day you can fill that battery and have enough energy and resources, resilience to do the great work you're doing on this planet. And finally, let it seep into your nervous system as a way to remember this. Creating the neural pathways to be able to walk through the world in this state of being. And with this awareness now, as a way to close this practice, let's take one final breath. Slowly open your eyes, shake your body, stretch your body, look around the room. So we started with our motivation with the beautiful wise words from heart. We did our practice. Now we have time to reflect. We have a few minutes if anyone would like to just share any thoughts on what Heart said, any thoughts on the practice, or any questions you might have for Heart or comments.
Joe, I'd like to speak to Heart a lovely point about the evolution of our genius and the miraculousness of our nature, and what a wonderful phrase that is. Thank you so much. And to reflect on someone who has just passed and is in transition. Some of you may know Thich Nhat Hanh, Thai. And I am very glad to be with us all today because his words and the simplicity of how he saw the world is so profound. And being together today, just to evoke him with this group, I would like to say his words back to us, which is, "This is it."
Thank you, Barbara. Beautiful. Take a breath for that. Anyone else from your heart?
I appreciate that simple recognition that the letters of earth also are the letters of heart. I'd never seen that before or noticed that. And it's such a sweet reminder that we can connect with our heart simply by connecting with earth. And I just felt this possibility of harmony today when I saw this vision of us being stewards for each other and for the planet. And I'm sitting in that possibility of harmony. So thank you.
I just want to say, Joe, that the stewards, the end of that meditation was so beautiful as you reflected on stewards, the human being stewards and not conquerors. I forgot the word you used, but very, very beautiful. You all really inspired me. Thank you so much.
We're just reflecting back at you. So
Art, how many years of vegan eating?
44 years. All of my children are vegan. All of my grandchildren are vegan. They've all just grown up with it and pushed through all of the temptations that the world has and are shining examples. And I'm just like blown away by that in itself. Yeah.
May I say a word, Joe?
of course not. Yes, of course, please.
So, yeah, it's so good to be in circle with everyone today. Gratitude. And you know, Heart, I've said this to you before. I'm so grateful to say it in circle today. One of the deep, deep learnings for me with my sister Heart is that there is a great sacred truth to uniting hearts across distance, both sides of the veil. And it is a powerful, powerful premise when we can stand in that sacred fire of love together, regardless of what is going on this beautiful planet we all call home. It makes us aware that joy is a special wisdom. And Heart, that's how I know you. And one of my favorite parts of the River Phoenix Center for Peacebuilding is the police youth dialogue, because it brings heart into heart and heart into the very core of the shifting that's happening for our criminal justice system in the United States and around the world, from punishment to restoration. So a public thank you to you, Heart, as well. So much gratitude for what you continue to bring every minute of every day to bear through all of us. Love you.
Thank you, Dot. Beautiful words. So Dot Maber has spoken here before in our group, and she hosts many, 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 many things. But one of them is the Global Silent Minute, and hopefully we can get a link up if you want to join in every day. I believe it's every day, with these sacred moments to connect in silence around the world in a similar way. Thank you. So was there time for one more? Anybody else want to share?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, hi, Tammy.
I was grossly late today, and I almost didn't join because I was so late. But I will say, 20 minutes of this is like the equivalent of like 2.5 hours on, on the treadmill. Like it's just so powerful. So I'm glad I caught whatever I caught. This was so powerful, and I'm look forward to the recording so I can catch up. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you. It's always great when you're here. And I always say that these are technologies, right? I particularly use the technologies. The beauty of it is that it doesn't cost anything. You don't need equipment. It's simple and effective. You don't need to know gym memberships. It's always there. It's accessible for you. And it's so, and also this idea of doing this in community. So, so we started with our motivation. We did our practice. We had a time to reflect, and now I'd like to do our dedication.
Can I put out an invitation before you do a dedication?
Sure.
Tammy, you just reminded me that there have been over 150 of these sessions of reviving the global heart. It was lasting peace meditations for a while, then it became reviving the global heart. We are looking for volunteers to help us sort through our archives a little bit. So if you or someone you know may be interested in spending some time going through a vast array of guests and meditations by Joe, please send a message to me, and I'll put my email in the chat. Thank you, Heart.
You're welcome. Joe, can I just ask you, everybody, is it okay if I took a screenshot of all of our gorgeous faces, if I put that on our Facebook page? Because I didn't mention any of this to anybody, and I'm like, I really would love people to see you all and hear about this wonderful weekly. Did you say it's a weekly gathering? Yeah. All right. And I'll see you again.
All right, so just so as always I say, if you're here for the first time, welcome. Please keep coming back. If you know people who you think would resonate with this, we're building our community. We do ask a donation. It's not required, and any money goes to the Peacebuilding project, which is now going to be used to fund the production of my book, which should be coming out in June. Yay. And continue to show up. And if you have anything that you want to share with us, just send us a note through Todd or through me, joe@peaceability.org. So just quickly, just that the energy that we've created, let's direct it towards those systems that are emerging, that the energy goes towards those systems that are emerging at this moment, that they gain more power, that their power doesn't diminish but increases, and that light connects with other lights so that we create more interconnectedness as we gain more strength in that way, just in a natural, organic way of emerging systems that are ready to move into more power as old systems we lovingly help fall away. To Thich Nhat Hanh and all of the great work that he did, may his soul continue to shine for eternity, and whatever his next journey is, may it be peaceful and beneficial to all beings. And may all creatures on this planet have enough fresh water to drink and food to eat. And may all governments and world leaders govern from a place of wisdom and compassion as opposed to fear and greed. Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Heart. Thanks to all here. Again, stay in touch and hopefully see you next week.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.